Chapter 4, Elliot's Secret. The basement door creaked shut behind them, sealing the trio into a silence that felt older than the city above. The air was damp and heavy, carrying the scent of earth, parchment, and old secrets. The glowing map, still clutched in Daniel's hand, shimmered faintly in the darkness. Emily held the lantern aloft. Shadows danced along the stone walls, revealing passages that seemed to twist unnaturally. The hallway ahead led to several archways, but only one bore the symbol. They now recognized from the attic map the circle with the key. There, Charlie pointed. Daniel nodded and led the way. The stone floor cooled beneath their feet. The archway gave way to a corridor with a vaulted ceiling and murals along the walls, painted in the style of the late 1800s. Strange figures in cloaks stood alongside illustrations of mechanical devices, alchemical diagrams, and cryptic Latin phrases. Emily read one aloud, Veritas per memoria, true through memory. As they pressed deeper into the corridor, a quiet humming began to fill the air. Not electrical, no modern current buzzed here, but something older, a resonating frequency that stirred the hairs on their necks. The corridor opened into a circular room lit by a massive chandelier suspended from chains. Round the edges of the room were towering bookshelves, each filled with volumes bound in cracked leather. But it was the center of the room that held their attention, a pedestal, and atop it, a glass dome encasing a single, pristine book. Its cover was made of some kind of deep green velvet, and the title glowed faintly, The Librarian's Journal. Emily stepped forward, her voice a whisper. The librarian. You think this is his? Daniel nodded. Maybe this is the man we saw in the mirror. Charlie climbed a small step to look at the book more closely. There's a lock. No keyhole, just a little indentation. Daniel placed the brass key they'd found earlier into the indentation. A soft click echoed, and the glass dome lifted slowly. Book opened itself, pages fluttering as though caught by an invisible breeze before settling on one that bore a name, Elliot Thorne. That's my great-uncle, Daniel whispered. Emily turned sharply. What, you never said anything? I didn't think it mattered, Daniel replied. He was just a name in the family tree. A librarian in London, disappeared in the 1930s. Nobody ever knew what happened to him. Charlie peered at the page in delicate ink. The words flowed like a letter. To the one who carries my blood, know this, the library chose you. I never meant to trap myself here, but the truth was too great to abandon. If you have found this, it means the cycle begins anew. Seek the vault of forgotten names and beware the whispering ones. They are not bound by time. The page shimmered and more words began to appear, revealing a map not of the library, but of a part of the city above, a section beneath Bloomsbury, marked with a small X. Emily took a step back. This is bigger than just a library. Daniel closed the book gently. Heart pounding, Elliot knew something he couldn't risk sharing openly. Just then, a cold draft swept through the room. The chandelier above flickered. A low murmuring echoed through the walls, not from one place, but from all directions at once. Whispers layered over whispers, like 100 voices speaking just below hearing. Charlie clutched his mother's hand there, whispering again. Daniel turned to the nearest shelf. Books began sliding out by themselves, falling open to random pages. One after another, they landed on the floor, revealing names, dates, and final phrases. Each was signed at the bottom with a faint seal, a circle with a flame inside. Names. Emily whispered, These are all people the library remembered. Loud bang made them all jump. Behind them, a hidden door creaked open in the wall, revealing a narrow stone hallway. Unlike the rest of the library, this path was newer concrete rather than stone, lit by old electric bulbs that flickered as they approached. They followed the passage in silence, the only sound their own footsteps. At the end was a simple wooden door, painted black. On it, written in red chalk, were the words, Only those who remember may enter. Daniel touched the handle. It was cold. He looked back at Emily and Charlie. If this is Elliot's secret, we need to see it through. Inside, the room was stark, a sharp contrast to the ornate library. Desks were arranged like a classroom, and along the walls were filing cabinets labeled by decade. On the far wall, an old chalkboard bore faded equations and diagrams. But it was the desk at the front, larger, older, and covered in papers, that drew Daniel's attention. He stepped behind it and lifted a framed photo. A man stood beside a young boy, both in librarian uniforms. The man was Elliot, boy Daniel recognized from old family photos. That's my grandfather. He never talked about this. Beneath the photo was a sealed envelope labeled "To the last of the thorns." He opened it carefully. "If you found this, then I've failed. I thought I could keep them locked away, the memories, the knowledge, the power. But the library has its own will. It remembers, it wakes. And now you, Daniel, must decide. Will you seal it again? Or will you open the vault?" Enclosed with the letter was a second key, this one silver, shaped like a flame. Charlie looked at the chalkboard. "Mom, these aren't equations. They're dates, birthdays, deaths." Emily scanned them. "These are all thorns." Daniel's hands trembled. Elliot was trying to protect us from something. But now it's awake again. A humming noise started beneath their feet. The floor vibrated slightly. From behind the chalkboard, a section of the wall slid away, revealing stairs descending into darkness. They looked at each other. "Daniel, the vault." Emily nodded grimly. "It's time we found out what Elliot was hiding." They began the descent, unaware that behind them, the names on the books in the circular room were fading one by one, replaced by new names, freshly inked, their own.